Okay, so you're having a baby, but you don't want to get married, and as the father or a member of the father's family, you want this baby to carry your name. What are you supposed to do now? Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Sangoma Society. My name is Uhani Waramakwakwa. I'm Honey Tell a Story on all social media networks. Ngingumakhosi uNomabuto Emsamo, and this is Sangoma Society, where we demystify the ancestral. So the protocol for when you want your child to carry your surname is that you must Lobola that child. So the first thing that jumps to people's minds when they hear the word Lobola is thinking that this is essentially meaning getting married. But that's a misunderstanding of Lobola on our part, and maybe because of translation of things that we actually again lose the true meaning of the word itself. The ceremony of Lobola is the ceremony of joining two families together as one. The ceremony of Lobola serves to establish a council of elders for the child in question. So already they have ancestors from their maternal and their paternal bloodlines, but without having umsebenzi wokumbika umntwana or ukumlobola umntwana as the paternal family or the father's family. You cannot give the child your surname without ukulobola this child. Now, sometimes we find that the person has used their father's name, but they have not gone through the ceremony of Lobola. Lobola can still be done after the fact, even if perhaps we put the horse before the cart. If we have already gone through the process of Ukshaula, then we can go through the process of Lobola. How it is that this child will be lobolad will be determined by the maternal family. It is an offering from the paternal family to the maternal family to join together their bloodlines through a certain individual, either the bride or the child. And in this case, we're discussing the matter of the child. So then we need to come back again to understanding, because I'm sure you're still going to ask me, but what do you mean you lobola the child? Just as much as when a ceremony for the mother happens or a bride happens, there are certain protocols in which the particular person in question who is having the ceremony held for them has to be chosen or pointed out by the family who is coming to bring ilobola. That is the same protocol that will be observed for the child. The child will have to be specified. The father's family will have to specify who it is that they're coming to the mother's family for. And if they are only bringing lobola for the child, then they specify that, and specify that the mother is not included in this conversation. Sometimes we want to pay lobola after the fact, and we want to include both mother and child. In some cultures that includes a child who is not your own biologically. Again, specifying. And it brings me to this point that one of the things that we fail to understand with ancestral ceremonies in general is that the ceremony serves as a conversation. The ceremony serves as a communication between ourselves here in the realm of the living and those who walk with us who are in the hereafter. in the ancestral realm. Lobola is no different. It is establishing whom it is who sits at the head of the council of elders. Inkundla yabadala ukuthi ilawulwa ngobani phezu komntwana. Some things are really difficult to translate into English, but I'm doing my best. The problem with so much of the misunderstanding that we have around certain ceremonies, especially ones like Lobola, is because we misunderstand things through interpretation. Here's a few questions that I think could arise. When can umntwana go be lobolad? Lobola for the child can happen after the child is born. In the case where you will not be marrying the mother, then to hlaula the child will still be necessary. You will still be required to hlaula. So when we have the situation of a child born out of wedlock and we are not going to marry the mother, we are not going to include the mother in the process of Lobola, then it is required that we begin with hlaula and then we can do the ceremony and protocol of Lobola after the child is born. Hlaula can be done while the child is in the womb. However, typically we wait for the child to be born in order to Lobola, unless we are going to Lobola the mother as well, in which case you Lobola before the child is born, ultimately or ideally. Otherwise, when you come to Lobola the mother and child, if it is after the birth of the child, then you specify that you are here again to Lobola the mother and the child. These things require us to be specific and deliberate when we engage as families and with our ancestors. And I think that's where a lot of things get lost, because we tend to not want to be specific. We tend to keep the ancestral vague. And when these ceremonies are actually happening within our families, we don't ask questions. We don't want to understand the purpose of the ceremony that we're engaging in. And that's why we find ourselves here today needing to clarify these things on these platforms, because the culture of not asking somehow seeped into being a part and parcel of whom we are, and I don't know how it happened, but I hope that today's video has answered the question of how and why we do the ceremony of Lobola ingane and when this can be done. If there's any further questions on this topic, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. If you're joining us for the first time today, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're coming back again and you don't have your notifications turned on, please go ahead, smash that notifications bell right now. And if this video has helped you come into an understanding of today's topic, go ahead and smash the like button and join us again next week. My name is Uhani Onamakwakwa, Kingumakhosi Unomabutu Emsalo, and I thank you for joining us on Sangoma Society, where we demystify the ancestral. Until next time,